Hi everybody, welcome to my channel, That's Friday Homeschool. My name is Mrs. D and I am back. I took about a month off of videos and YouTube and I really enjoyed just the time to be with my family and just relaxing. And I have an update video coming soon, but today I'm gonna kickstart, I think this will probably be three-part short little series of videos where I talk about planning and organization, and I'm breaking it down into three sections. Yearly planning, I'm going to talk about record keeping as well, tied in with that yearly planning. I'm going to talk about our weekly and daily planning, and then I'm also going to share with you guys this vision, this roadmap that I created that I love because I'm very organized. I love organizing and planning, and I'm just excited to share it with you. So today we're going to talk about our yearly planning. Okay, so first I'm going to share with you guys two resources that I use to help me kind of plan and create a vision for the year. The first resource I've now read twice, and it is How to Homeschool the Kids You Have. And this breaks it down kind of year by year, and they go subject by subject, and they kind of talk about some common things to focus on, which I found to be very helpful. They also do have some recommendations for curriculum, and this is a secular perspective on homeschooling. So it doesn't really go into religion too much or like a Christian specific curriculum, but it's very small. It's a very fast read, and I definitely used this to help guide my vision for the school year. The other one here is called Home Learning Year by Year. This one is a lot bigger. I've only read through this once, and then I went through the grade that I was on before diving further, like going further. So I will kind of go through this, I think, on a more of a year by year basis. But this really gives a lot of good advice for different resources. It tells you all about common themes that you might see in a school year. So I definitely used these two resources while brainstorming what my upcoming school year looked like. Now, I decided pretty early on that I kind of wanted to have a digital planning process more for like the year picture rather than like a handwritten process, just because I like to be able to copy and paste and move. And I found other resources and I removed resources in my planning stage. I really wanted that flexibility. So I'm actually going to turn you around. We're going to take a look at my computer screen and we are going to go through my setup that I currently have for my yearly planning. Now, in my yearly planning here, we have basically, I'm going to call it my record keeping, and we're going to go over that in detail. And I'm just really excited. So yes, let's get into our digital tracking here online. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at our digital records for homeschooling. And this is really heavily tied to both my yearly planning as well as this whole section will contain all the information I need that will help me with my weekly and daily planning as well. So inside my Google Drive, which is a shared drive with my husband, we have a homeschool records folder, and inside there we will have a record folder per year. So this is the 2024 to 2025 school year. And if we open this, I will have out here, basically this year we only have one folder because we have just our kindergartner that we're doing records for, but as my children get older, I would have two records. So maybe next year might be kindergarten for my younger and first grade, for example, for my current kindergartner. And this normally actually says my child's name as well. Now, if we click in here, we have two different subfolders. We have a curriculum subfolder and a record keeping subfolder. And in our curriculum subfolder here, we basically have all of the digital copies of the content that we need to support the curriculum that we have, as well as the digital copies of curriculum in whole that we were responsible for printing. I also included in here some different things that I have prepared. So for example, when I was preparing night school, which we are going to be doing soon rather than doing it in the summer, I went ahead and created a whole mini, I guess, we'll say like a mini breakdown of different things for us to do. So this is an example of something that would exist in this curriculum folder.
Now, if we go back up and we head into our record keeping folder, this is really the meat of our content that we have here stored digitally. So the first thing that we have at the very top is our map testing folder. Now, I did decide for us to do map testing with my kindergartner this upcoming year. We're going to do it 3 times in the year, fall, winter, and spring. And this is just map growth testing. It's gonna be very low key. We're not studying, we're preparing for it. And I decided I kind of wanted to normalize testing. I didn't want it to be a big deal. I wanted it to be this light thing. Anyway, we are going to be storing our printed, like our receipts, as well as his results in this map testing folder. Below that, we have our attendance, which is something that we have started keeping. We've only completed 2 days of school so far, but basically it's going to look a little bit like this. We have our month, we have our week information, and then when we complete a day, I will mark it off in green. If we have an unexpected absence, I'll mark it off in yellow, and I just have a running total of those in here. Now, this attendance information will need to be submitted for my state. This is part of our requirement for homeschooling. So this is where I'm tracking the attendance that we will then print out and submit. We have also this curriculum details section, and I'm really excited about this one. I don't know why this thrills me so much, but it does. This is not a requirement by any stretch of the imagination. This is just something that I wanted to do. So I broke out the curriculum that we are going to be covering per subject. So I jotted down per subject the curriculum name, who created it, a little description. I created some of the content information, the topics, and I outlined any sort of literature that might be needed to complete the we'll say complete what we are hoping to tackle in this upcoming school year. So I did this for everything, which is really exciting. I am definitely looking forward to having this to look back on in the future. So we have our curriculum details. We then have our curriculum tracking, which is a Google Sheet. And basically what I did is I have a tab here at the bottom per piece of curriculum that has defined lessons. Now, we are going to be time boxing certain things like explode the code, for example, or our manuscript writing, things like that, which don't have specific lessons, so those will not be listed here. But if the program has a lesson, I decided to create a tab for it. And basically, we have all of the lessons listed out with a description. And the idea here is once we complete that lesson, we will just add in the date completed and we will move on. Now, some of them I had no idea how far we were going to get, like Schiller Learning. So I actually just listed out all of the lessons from lesson book 1. But let's say we only get through lesson, I don't know, 97. Then that's fine. What I will do is take lessons 98 onward, and I will copy those and put them into next year's curriculum tracking if we are continuing with Schiller Learning. So this is just kind of like an information here. This doesn't necessarily mean we are going to be tackling all of these. Now, some of them are not going to be starting with lesson 1. Matthew C. Primer, for example, we started this last year and we are on lesson 15 currently. So we worked on it during the summer, so we will continue with lesson 15, and that would be a good example of where we would be picking up with Primer. So that would be lesson 15 would be a part of this. The other thing that we have here, let's hop back over here, is our homeschool rules. And I think I mentioned this in another video, but my kid and I came up with our homeschool rules, and it's that school's our job and we can't skip it. When he's learning and when I'm teaching, we are ready, patient, positive, and kind. And I want to just highlight that we want to remind ourselves that this is the mindset that we want to tackle school with. But it's hard to always have that mindset. So if we're not feeling ready, that's totally fine. We are planning to take 10 minutes if needed by doing one of these other activities that we will do together and just embrace preparing ourselves mentally for our work. I also have in here our intent to homeschool, which we submitted and was returned to us by our local school district homeschooling office. So that is in here in case I need to ever have that provided. And then we also have in our reading records. So here we have all of the books that we currently have planned that we might tackle this year. We have a bunch of our French books. We have books that are associated to a lot of different curriculum, and I'll scroll over here so you can see. But basically, we have the book, where we can grab it, what subject it will cover, and what curriculum it is tied to. And some of these do have multiple, I think they have multiple, what is it called? Multiple curriculum will cover it. So we have all of them in here. Now, one thing to note is I marked down the lesson number that corresponds to the curriculum piece. That's not necessarily the week we are going to do it on, it's just the lesson number that corresponds here. I also have outlined the chapter books because we are hopping through a couple of different pieces of curriculum to guide us through it. And I did also list out some of our potential audiobooks. Now, we actually have already finished A Bear Called Paddington. We're on the 4th audiobook now, and we're about 2/3 of the way through Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. So these are different audiobook options for us and just good ideas. And I will be adding onto this list throughout the year. And then we finally do have our reading log. So this is what we've completed in our first 2 days. And I decided I wanted to track all of the unique books that we have read. So that way, I mean, like I said, I like lists. I like seeing this information. So that's going to be our reading log. The last thing we have here is our schedule. And this is actually something I will refer to often. So first we have our sample schedule flow, which does kind of look like a lot. I wanted to create a sample flow that would be an ideal. And I wanted to use this ideal to help plan a week and to give us some structure and guidance. So we have, so for example, if you've seen my language arts curriculum pick video, I actually break down all of these resources. And this is how we're going to be implementing, or the goal will be to implement it in this way. So we have our sample. This is used for the planning. The other thing I have here is the weekly checklist, which is just another view of that sample workflow. So the goal, for example, would be to do SACS and math 3 times a day, or 3 times, not a day, oh my goodness, 3 times a week. Same thing with Schiller. So I actually have this printed and I am going to use just a dry erase. It's laminated, and I'm just going to check it off throughout the week, erase, and move on. So that is that. I also have a more visual checklist, which will be for my child. It's been printed and laminated, and he will be able to cross things out. So we have reading, writing, math, French, science, social studies, and the arts, which will be something either like a visual art or piano. And that is our schedule. The only other thing that's not really in here are the chores that we do as a family, because we will have a daily chore that we're tackling, but I decided not to keep that in our record keeping at this time. But that is it. Let's go ahead and hop back now to me.
Okay, and that is it. We're going to take a quick pause with this video. That was our yearly planning and our record keeping for the upcoming school year. Next video, we're going to talk about our weekly and daily planning.